Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We wanted to welcome you to Stronger, our show that we dedicated to coming out of this situation stronger, and hopefully we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. We want to let you know that hopefully you're having a great week with your friends and family, anyone that you get to see face to face, whether it's via all these virtual meetings or just being home with those you love. Today, our topic is going to be revolving around revenue management and some top ways to do revenue management in this new normal. We know that things are a little bit, as we start making bookings again and hopefully have guests coming to our properties, we know it's going to be a little bit uncertain, a little bit turbulent as far as how that's all going to go. And that's why we felt that this topic today was going to be important, is to start considering opportunities for revenue management and looking at ways to protect your revenue that is booked, and then techniques to adapt, assuming that things go in the right direction moving forward and we all start to get some bookings and generally revenue management can become a big part of our success moving forward. So we have some wonderful guests today. We have Maureen and Desiree from RevMax. Together, they have a combined experience of 30 years in the revenue management world with hotels, resorts, vacation rentals, and we're very happy to have them. They're some of the smartest people I know and definitely can shed some light on some areas for us to start thinking about as we enter this new normal. So Desiree, why don't you start off by giving us a little bit of a background on yourself?
Perfect. So as Brett mentioned, we are revenue managers, or I'm a revenue manager by trade. A lot of my experience has come in the hotel, resort, and vacation rental brands, working with the Starwoods and the Marriott brand specifically. So knowing where revenue management is and then bringing it into the vacation rental world, joining Streamline was a great synergy because knowing that there's limitations from revenue management tools and functionality within the vacation rental world, and Streamline's goal to innovate and bring things to light. It's a property management system by property managers for property managers, and so it won't stop on the revenue management side. We're revenue managers building tools, reports, functionality for revenue managers, so everybody can optimize and grow their business in a very efficient way. So that's kind of how my history and Streamline kind of join forces.
Thank you, Desiree. Maureen, why don't you give us an introduction of yourself and your background as well?
Okay, well, I have 17 years of experience in hotels and revenue management. I have the unique experience of traveling all over the country to work in multiple markets. I've worked for Hilton Hotels and for IHG Hotels and also vacation rentals in Salt Lake, Denver, Washington State, the Gulf Coast of Florida. And I just really enjoy the vacation rental space. It's emerging, and you can see that there are many exciting things happening. And revenue management is just blossoming in this area. And there's so many opportunities for property managers for growth opportunities in the future.
Excellent. Now, you guys have a interesting story, Desiree and Maureen. Why don't you shed some light on that for us?
Sure. So Maureen and I actually go back, I'm not going to tell you how far back, but quite some time. So actually, when I came into the industry, into the vacation rental world, I worked with Maureen, and actually for Maureen, in the vacation rental space, specifically in the panhandle of Florida. And together we were able to bring revenue management practice into that company and grow that property management company. And then from there, our paths actually split. And I think maybe 10 years passed, and then now we swing back around and we're working together again now with RevMax and Streamline. So we have a long history together.
Yeah, I've known Desiree since she was 19, 20. So it's been quite a long time.
Not that long, Maureen.
I mean, just a very short period of time.
We'll leave it to the audience to deduct the years and make their guesses. And we also have our producer here, our technical producer, Mike, who's always looking over us from the studio. And I wanted to get into a little bit of, for those who are new that are maybe tuning in that haven't done a lot of studies on revenue management, what is, Maureen, revenue management in the vacation rental industry?
Okay, so to understand revenue management in the vacation rental industry, we have to understand where it came from to begin with. So revenue management is something that came from, it started in the airline industry and then was adapted for hotels and then has now emerged into vacation rentals. So in the hotel world, which is the most comparable, revenue management was the art of pricing out units so that you were selling the right product to the right customer at the right time for the right price. So basically what it evolved to was dynamic pricing. And so before, for those of you who are a little older, you remember that you would set rates seasonally, and then that would be it. It would be just, this is your price. And so what hotels realized is that there was some opportunity for increasing and decreasing pricing for certain types of hotel rooms during different times where they could actually increase their occupancies or increase their rate and overall generate more revenue. And they recognized that this was bringing in 2 to 3 times of a revenue manager's annual salary. And so this was very powerful for them. And the vacation rental space, it was just so much harder to implement that in this space because of how different the inventory is. Getting data analytics tools that were that were able to express how a property was performing versus a different property in the same market, it was difficult to have those comparisons. So it became very difficult and complex to try to perform revenue management in the vacation rental space. So what it has evolved to, and keep in mind that when you're dealing with hotels, you're normally dealing with big brands, and those brands have other levers that they're pulling at different times. They have the marketing arm of the brand. They have people who will grow the brand recognition and build new properties in different locations. So you have cross marketing that's able to happen. With vacation rentals, you have smaller property management companies that are offering these unique products. So how do they market? How do they price? How next to to compete with a property that might be vastly different from themselves? So this is all very complex, and so it makes the vacation rental industry unique in how we have to approach it. So the way that we have kind of evolved this is that we can't just do dynamic pricing when it comes to approaching revenue management. We need to look at all levers of revenue generation within the vacation rental company. And we have to make sure that all levers are being used appropriately to create growth and maximize revenue opportunities. So that's how this has evolved in the vacation rental space.
Yeah, those are great points. Let me ask you, what is RevMax? How does your team fulfill the needs of the vacation rental industry, given all that experience and I think points that you shared?
Okay, so RevMax is the revenue management division of Streamline VRS. We design, and Desiree is our top designer, we design tools, system tools, and also training to help property managers effectively know how to utilize the tools and create systems for revenue management within their companies. So we not only present the tools, but we also offer training programs, either for short-term training or for long-term. We can also be a long-term member of their teams to provide them with revenue management support on an ongoing basis. So this is how we have chosen to provide revenue management in our space, is to do kind of a supplemental approach of providing the tools and then supplementing with the information they need in order to use those tools the most effectively they can.
Excellent. So Desiree, given that you are the tool builder over here at Streamline for revenue management, and you've done some incredible work, before we go into the 10 practices to leverage as we go into the new normal, why don't you take the screen and show some of the audience the tools that you have built at RevMax. And for everybody out there that's listening, if you're not a Streamline user, if you don't have these options available, check into your system, see what revenue management tools are available. Check out your third-party vendors that you might be working with that help with revenue management to see what their tools are. But before we get into the top 10 ways, why don't you show us some of the tools and help people understand from a rate perspective specifically how you help manage revenue management for these clients?
Absolutely. So one of the things that, we want to kind of Maureen alluded to is that in a hotel setting, you have the ability to, you just have one building. In vacation rentals, it's a little bit more complex. So you're looking at your total company, and then you're also looking at every owner, right, that you represent. So one of the things that we have is just a quick pulse check, right? The daily pulse of how the business is doing. We have our daily revenue, our month-to-date revenue, our year-to-date revenue. And then great, from a company perspective, we're performing well. But now I need to make sure that every owner within that company is also performing well, because I could have different size units that are weighing the vote. And so we have a quick, month-to-date underperforming property stat. So if any unit is underperforming, they're highlighted quickly here. So I know who to focus on, who to push for my res team to sell, who to feature on the next e-blast, things along those lines. I can see my total company performance for the year in top line revenue and how it portrays every month. I also can see my monthly revenue and my mix of business. So I know quickly who's occupying the house and what percentage, what do I need to increase if I have, not enough Airbnb or VRBO or, not enough website clicks. I know quickly how to analyze that and make a decision. And then also operationally, you'll have some quick stats here: arrivals, departures, bookings, your occupancy stats, your ADR. And, we always want to manage our cancellations and understand what our wash is too. Even outside of COVID, we want to know, do we have an opportunity to oversell? Different clients are going to have different scenarios. Everybody has a different mix of inventory, mix of business. Some of our vacation rental managers, they are in the ability where they're seeing, hey, I'm going to get 20 cancellations, in a certain room type within 10 days, but I also have a stronger booking window also. So that technically means that you have a 10 unit variance that you can technically oversell, knowing that the trend is that 10 of those are going to cancel anyways. So then it also helps to protect the owner. So we give a lot of metrics to use strategically so property managers can increase their sales and know what leads to take and which ones, to either cross-sell. Maybe it's another owner that's, not on the rental program, and you have all these leads for their size of unit. That's a great way as well to take those leads to that owner and capture more owners that way. But then within here, we also have, some quick references to where we can immediately get to our reports, any of our tools that we need within the system, any of our dynamic pricing functions, and then any news and updates within the RevMax system or within the RevMax company, or even within the industry, or even within the software. So, quick reports that we like to look at: pacing. We want to look at your revenue pacing by unit, when reservations are coming by day of week to help with scheduling, nights occupied, booking window, when guests are booking for certain unit types by channel. We can give you all of that information. Your rate history as well, so you can see your rate trends year over year, as well as 2 years ago to 2 years forward. Some different pricing management tools and nightly management tools, and then obviously our Stream Yield, which is Streamline's automatic pricing. But one thing that we're also very proud of is our market intelligence. And that's where you actually get to choose your own comp set. And, this is a back-end setting that we configure, but your your comp set is dropped here. So out of your own custom comp set, so the units that you want to competitively price against, we set all those up, go out and shop it. And then here we give you their stats. So their ADR, the occupancy, the RevPAR, and the length of stay just for that group of units. And then those stats are laid out here in your pricing tape chart, as well as your own company stats of this year's RevPAR, ADR, and occupancy, and then last year's ADR as well. So you have a good baseline of what you did last year, what the market's selling, and kind of where you're positioned. And then you can see it by door, and you can also see it by the group that you're comparing against. And you have that for every day of the year for 365. So this is a great tool that we'll use as things are changing and we're trying to make pricing strategy decisions. We can see immediately what the market is doing, what we're doing from length of stay, from a pricing perspective, you know, very, very granular. You know, this is to every unit within a specific tower that shares the same amenities, same sleep, same everything. You can also choose your own custom comp set to be a little bit bigger. But one thing that we like, or RevMax likes, is we like to have control. So I want to know who I'm shopping, who I'm pricing against, and not leaving things blind or vague. Because again, everybody's different. Everybody's going to, you know, sometimes be a market leader, sometimes be a market follower. It all depends on your market position and how you're going to implement your strategies. So high level, those are some quick tips that we've built.
Excellent. Before we jump into the next section, which is the 10 practices, we do have a few Q&As up here. So one of them is why should we utilize, actually, let's look at this one. When shopping rates, do they see private owners renting rates or just against their own properties for the comp sets?
When we see private owners, shopping rates, no, you choose your own comp set. So you choose private owners, you see a professionally management unit versus an independent unit, you choose your own comp set. It's not your own. It's not, you have the ability on the pricing tape chart to see your own of what you've grouped, but then you also have the ability to see what the market's doing as well.
Another question up here is, and it does bring to light the fact that there's a lot of choice within Streamline because we have so many integrations, we have so many different companies that you can choose, whether it's RevMax and their tools and services or external services. One of the questions is, how does this work with other companies in the industry? Do they work together? Do they overlap? Can you use both, or does it replace those solutions?
Got it. No, that's a great question. And that is one thing that's unique about Streamline, is that we have the ability to integrate certain pieces. So the reports and the dashboard, you can definitely use, you know, with Price Labs, you don't need a pricing situation, but the pricing tape chart is designed for you to make decisions for your pricing. So if you're using a pricing tool, you usually don't need to make the decision because that's what they're supposed to do, right? Make those decisions for you. So you wouldn't necessarily need that. But essentially in this situation, Price Labs would replace the pricing tape chart and the market intelligence piece.
When it comes to the comp sets, do we have a limitation? One of the questions is, how many comp sets can we create?
You can create as many comp sets as you have yielding groups. So,
which is unlimited.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for the questions, audience. Let's go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes here at this show, and that's going to be the top 10 revenue management practices to leverage as we enter this new normal. So RevMax, why don't you take that away?
So as I was sharing with you before, Desiree and I work with clients on a weekly basis. And through this, we have been hearing lots of questions and concerns from them about how what's going on today will be impacting them in the future. And so one of my favorite quotes is from Charles Darwin, and it is not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change. And so in looking at the new normal and that things are changing, there is also an opportunity. With every change, there's both an ending and there's a beginning. And in the beginning is where lies that opportunity. And so we want to look at what we're doing and make sure that whatever we are doing, that we're making the most of these new opportunities. So we've created this list of 10 best practices to leverage moving forward to ensure that you're in the best place as we approach the new normal. So Desiree, do you want to talk about the first one?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And, you know, number one is that as Maureen was saying, as things kind of shake out during this time, it's going to be very important to get exposure, right? Everybody experienced probably 6 weeks, if not longer, worth of cancellations. So your normal booking window, those guests who normally would come and stay, they're not coming, they can't come. So that means that we have to increase our demand, right, which is potentially getting new customers. And so that makes it to where we need new distribution partners or increase placement on our existing distribution partner platforms. So getting into the marketplace is going to be number one, right? Making sure we're in the marketplace on as many effective channels as possible. I know there's a lot of new great partners coming on board, and from a Streamline perspective, you can integrate directly with. We're not asking you to do additional labor by going through, necessarily a channel manager. But getting into the marketplace, and then where you're already existing on many channels, making sure your content's clean. This is going to be a good time to, kind of spring clean your listings, fixing content, updating pricing, updating pictures, making sure you have the best reviews out there, explaining what you're doing from a operations perspective for those units, promoting. We have Wi-Fi, we have, pools, elaborating on things that people need today, that people are going to look for today. So I would say first and foremost, distribute your inventory and get in front of as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm. So another thing that we're dealing with is the change in policies. So cancellation policies are going to be critical. The companies that have the most flexible cancellations are going to be the ones that are the most appealing to travelers, because there are so many unknowns right now. We've seen, cancellations at a rate we've never seen before. We've seen states and the government closing operations so that we can't even take reservations, which means that we have to cancel on behalf of guests. So we want to evaluate the policies that we have. So one tool that I think could be beneficial to a lot of people to look into is called Master Cancel. Master Cancel is a insurance policy through Rental Guardian, and Rental Guardian has designed this. They had this well in the process before any of this happened, but then when this happened, it was like, it kind of shed some light on why this might actually be really important to look at. So Master Cancel is a policy where the property manager themselves will buy it on behalf of the guest, and it protects the property management company, the owner, the guest. They can instead of having stricter cancellation policies with cancellation fees, they can have a cancel for any reason. And how appealing is that in today's marketplace, right? To have cancel for any reason. And for a percentage of the room rent of the cost of the reservation, that pays for them to be covered. And so this has the additional benefit to not only allow them to have a cancel for any reason, which helps them to be more competitive on marketplace sites like Airbnb or VRBO, Booking.com, but it also can be used as owner retention and owner acquisition. So holding on to owners that are very nervous about what's happening, if they know that the property manager has got them covered through having something like this, that can be important. And then also owners that are looking for, maybe they've been renting it themselves, and so they're looking for partnering with a property management company. This can be something that helps you to capture that owner if they know that they're going to be protected. So take a look at your policies, take a look at what you're doing, and make sure that you have the best situation that's going to make you the most marketable in your marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think also too, everyone is going to contact less, right? Remote check-in, remote everything. So one of the things, if you can do a remote check-in or a contactless check-in, do it. And I know, Happy Stays, if you're on that app, or, any Streamline customer has the ability to also do what it's called guest app authentication. So I know a lot of people have been, trying to force a check-in or a personal visit with their customers because of chargebacks, and they want to make sure that everything's in line. But with this new guest app authentication, you actually have the ability to upload your driver's license right into the app. And that has covered all of our PMs at this point in regards to a chargeback, because they know, okay, well, you uploaded your ID, and then here's your Wi-Fi, here's your check-in documents, here's your gate code, here's all your information. So as more people move to, I don't want to touch anybody, I don't have to go to a front desk, I can do everything via my app, I think that gives, another great tool and asset. And many apps probably do this as well, that's just the one that I know of. but being flexible with, again, going back to change, being flexible with what do customers need or want now, which is going to be, I don't want to touch anybody. That's why I'm going to the vacation rentals, because I am somewhat excluded from mass, right? So anything operationally that we can do to do remote check-ins, I think is going to also be a big win for customers and separation between property management companies across the board.
Mhm. So also VRBO and Airbnb, there's been some conversation about them creating new cleaning standards that they are asking property management companies to follow. Things such as keeping 24 hours in between a departure and the next check-in to allow the air in the unit to be rid of any sort of virus that might be there, and also to create some confidence from the guest that they're going to be in a unit that has been cleaned and it's been given some time. So taking a look at what's evolving with these standards that Airbnb and VRBO are putting in place, and making sure that you're prepared for them, because this is going to be something that a lot of people will have concern about, and they'll trust those sites and those guidelines that are there. And so if you're a property management company that is participating in that, it's likely that you'll be able to capture more market share from those marketplace sites of bookings. And there are also some owners who had been renting properties that are dropping out of renting right now. So this is a great opportunity to approach those owners and say, hey, we are certified. We work with professional cleaning companies, or we have professional cleaning staff. Let us rent your property for you. We can meet these Airbnb, VRBO standards, and we can therefore appeal to a greater number of people. So it takes kind of that question and that responsibility off of the shoulders of those owners, and you as a property manager grow your business by having these systems in place that are that have been adapted to the current climate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's perfect. And then also, like length of stays, obviously, stay strategies. Not everybody can even handle it, a less than 30-night minimum in some areas right now. I know in some areas beaches are closed, islands are closed, ways to even get there. So being creative with your length of stay and being creative and adaptive to what's going on in your market, I think is also going to be a huge takeaway. A lot of our clients, don't have the same story. So, where we can open up avenues of increased distribution, in many cases, and Maureen, I know some of your clients have done this as well, but, putting a 30-night minimum on inventory, short terms can't rent, but maybe I can rent a 30-night minimum, a 60-night minimum. There is still a market for those clients, whether it's people who do want to still get away and they don't mind staying away for 30 nights, whether it is being creative with the marketing, right? Getting in front of customers who need to maybe work from home. Maybe their home environment is less suitable. So they need to get away and they have to bring the family with them. So, promoting Wi-Fi and promoting work from home accommodations and kind of space for the family, but doing that on a 30-night minimum, maybe versus the weekend getaway is also going to help gain some additional exposure into some untapped markets. So length of stay strategies are going to be important. And then obviously having the flexibility to manage those length of stays. Obviously we need to do that maybe for the next 60 days. And then after that, go back into, a standard 3 to 7 night minimum for the summertime.
And then in addition to that, a lot of property managers are struggling with housekeeping staff. Is that getting the housekeeping staff to come back or feel comfortable working in that environment? And so if you are not able to do a lot of turnovers, but you can take longer lengths of stay that don't require turnovers, and maybe offering those, and we'll get into some marketing towards the end here, and some pricing as well, but maybe marketing those longer lengths of stay at a attractive price so that you're able to still capture business and maintain your operations with the limited staff that you might be now experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that segues right into pricing, right, Maureen? Because, now you have long-term stay rates. There's, you have to obviously market to those. You have to put yourself in a position and getting strategic from a placement perspective, but also, working with those who can, offer some accommodations now, whether it's 30 nights or 60 nights, get involved with the community. How do you, work with the local hospitals, house folks that aren't even need to be in the hospital, but maybe need to be in rehab or something, another place that nurses can work out of. Promoting to like first responders, the medical field, maybe the first responder doesn't have another place to like quarantine themselves because of the work that they're doing, or even the medical field, not necessarily first responders, basically giving them an option, or if not them, maybe their family, right? And that's going to be a longer term stay as well while this continues to push through. But, market positioning, Wi-Fi, pet friendly, again, things that the people need, right? Be a solution. You're not necessarily going out to market to come vacation. You're marketing as a solution. You're putting yourself in the proper position to be an asset to the community versus just trying to, still your or undercut your competitor. But, doing pricing from an effective way along with your marketing, it's a definitely a 1-2 punch between marketing and pricing. You don't have to give the house away. You just have to position yourself correctly and make sure you're sending the right message.
Mm-hmm. So in positioning ourselves correctly, that brings us into doing a little housekeeping. So now that we have some opportunity, we have some time here for those projects that you have set aside and said, as soon as I have a minute, I'll take a look at those. So this is a good time to take a look at what projects you have around, an opportunity to do maybe deep cleaning on some things, or updating websites, checking Google reviews, making sure that everything is accessible. Take a look at what your photography looks like on your units. Make sure that the best of all of your photography is showing in the top placements, so that when you go to these distribution sites that you're outshining all of the like products there. Making sure that you're competitive, that anything that you have been setting aside during this time frame, that you're checking off that list of to-dos. This is a great opportunity to address those items that have been hanging out there. So that also segues into some marketing. So marketing, it has changed, right, Desiree? So it's more not so much international cruise ships and airplanes, huh?
Right. No, absolutely. And that's, I think, what we're seeing also. So in some areas, the gates have opened, right? And we're seeing a lot of in-state travel, a lot of drive-to markets. So, again, going back to positioning and making sure you're in the right distribution. Back to 101, are you in the right place at the right time for the right customer at the right price? It's kind of taking things back to the basics, just as simple as washing our hands too. So, we want to get a new target audience, a domestic audience, a radius, who is within our drive area, who is going to jump in the car and drive to us for 8 hours. That's going to be a good indicator to first start introducing your product if you're not already capturing them. And then there's a lot of, market intelligence tools that you can compare yourself against what other competitors are doing, or even what your market is doing in general. And I'm sure as things open up, there's going to be a lot of destination-based marketing as well with surrounding states, and really working together to accommodate everybody, because Maureen, to your point, nobody's going on a cruise anytime soon. Nobody's really going to travel on an airplane, but they are going to drive because they need to get away, and everyone's going stir crazy. So again, being an asset and being a bridge to the current demand. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to go on a cruise ship, but you can still come to my lake house or beach house or, cabin in the woods, where it's definitely not triple digits.
So this means that you can expect a lot of new visitors to websites where they hadn't maybe considered taking a trip 30 minutes, an hour away from home before, because when they wanted to get away, they wanted to get away maybe on an airplane, or they had more exotic tastes. This means that people will still want to get away from home and have these new experiences and relax, but they'll be doing it in spaces where they maybe hadn't considered it before. So look out for all of those new visitors to your website. So what this means is an opportunity to take a look at your website. When these new visitors do come to your website, how are they going to be greeted? Are you going to give them a nice little pop-up message perhaps that says, hey, we really want you to come here. And as a matter of fact, we're willing to give you this discount coupon or this percentage off in order to let you stay with us and try us out because we know you're new. But all we need for that is we need to ask you for your email. Really simple, right? And so that provides opportunity to grow your database. And for those of you who use MailChimp, you can actually have that email address come through with a tag into your MailChimp database so that you can continue to remarket to those people who did not take you up on that, making a first booking with you. So yeah, definitely making sure that those new visitors are greeted with a way that you can capture their interest and capture their information so that you can create that into future marketing opportunities, because this could be going on for, what did they say, a year, 18 months or more, where people are not as courageous to want to take a cruise or to go on an airplane in order to do their traveling. So creating those opportunities to capture those guests and make them yours and direct bookers. Then also, like Desiree was talking about, so you're dealing with more of a drive-to market. So this is also a way that you can go into your database and do some data mining. Collect the email addresses for people who are within your drive-to market and start marketing campaigns that are tailored toward them. So for example, in less than 30 minutes, you could be here and some beautiful photography of your units about outdoor activities, shining the light on what there is to do where they don't have to have social contact is important. Things like the grocery stores that deliver or have a curbside pickup, home delivery from restaurants or pickup at your local restaurants, so that you can also help support those local businesses. You know, those restaurants still need to survive in order to provide us, after this whole thing is over with, appealing options for our guests to eat at when they come into town. So we want to do our best to try to work together with our local businesses to create you know, an experience for people where they can feel safe and still experience your area, your destination.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And then, you know, obviously, as people are going onto your website and you're capturing their data by offering, you know, a discount or a coupon, you know, now that is also a great opportunity to get them on their phone number as well. Because once you have their phone number, you know, you can send them, again, the app, hey, download my guest app and keep everything distant free. And then again, that segues into capture them. Oh, I have the guest app. Now what do I do with this? Oh, now I can get a specific target audience for those who are within the area. You know, you can use that function many times down the road. It's not necessarily just now in contact free. You can do, you know, push notifications, text notifications, mass offers just to those that are even in-house. You know, once you're there and you have food and beverage on site, you know, say, hey, everybody who gets this, you know, until 5 o'clock today, get $1 off an ice cream or something, you know. So you can definitely get creative from a marketing perspective with all of the tools that are available, you know, through your web provider, through, you know, your social media, your internet exposure. All of that you want to tie into your strategy, because all of that's going to be relative. You know, you have, you know, on your text or your email notification, you know, hey, Google reviewed us 5 stars. You know, we maintain 5 stars on all these platforms, or 4.5 stars, whatever that is. And then it alludes to your you know, your retention, your customers knowing, hey, I'm going to a quality product with a quality management company and brands. And I know I'm not just going to be with, you know, Joe Blow who doesn't really care and who doesn't have any standards. I know I'm with a brand. I know I'm going to have quality. And then what does more inventory take you to? What do more guest days take you to? More owners, right? And then as Maureen's kind of touched throughout this, how do we then translate this into getting more inventory so we have more supply, and then we can continue, running the funnel.
Mm-hmm. So you just segued perfectly into owner acquisitions. So if I had to pinpoint the biggest opportunity in all of this for property managers, I would say it's owner acquisitions. It's growing inventory. It's growing brand. It is the professional property manager's moment, really, to shine, because they have developed systems, they've made investments. They, like I mentioned earlier, they may be working with professional cleaning companies. They've set these things up where they have systems in place to adapt the best to what's going on. And whereas when everything was really strong and business was coming in, it was easy for somebody who was a private homeowner to just do a rent by owner, and it wasn't as challenging. Now this is creating opportunity, or this is creating a situation where there are hurdles for them. Like maybe they can't meet the cleaning standards, or maybe they're nervous. Maybe they need to be distributed and they don't know how to distribute to more places than maybe just Airbnb. And maybe Airbnb, with everything that was happening, was an uncomfortable experience for them. So this is really an owner acquisition opportunity to contact people who are in your community who have been doing the rental by owner, and letting them know that the types of things that you bring to the table for them, so that you can gain additional units. And therefore, when we do come out of this and there is a steep increase in demand, that your company will be positioned to be able to bring in high levels of revenue, and to lean forward into this instead of leaning back, like a lot of people are choosing, a lot of individual owners are choosing to do right now. Lean forward into this opportunity. That along with just contacting people who had previously been renting themselves, you want to highlight things like, if you have that protection, that rental guardian protection against cancellations, if you have these professional cleaning standards in place, if you have, so that's like worry-free cancellation and cleaning, if you have marketing that you are doing, if you have a marketing plan with email marketing campaigns that go out on a consistent basis, if you have text capability, which Streamline has through StreamPhone, these are all things that an individual owner maybe can't bring to the table that you can. So this provides that real opportunity to capture additional units onto the rental program. Desiree?
No, that is correct. And I think with all of that, it goes full circle, right? We have the inventory, we have the demand, we have the supply. Well, supply and inventory, we have the process. And at that point, you essentially, have the right price, have the right strategy, and then you're making money. I mean, it all comes kind of full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, did we put you to sleep over there? Did everybody hang on with us? I know we kind of just kept going.
I just wanted to make sure you got it all out, because you've got a bunch of great information over there. And that's there it is. So it's basically getting into the marketplaces, establishing your communication and marketing plans for the new normal. Make sure you're evaluating your digital tools and leveraging those coming out of this. This might be a good time to actually invest some time to learn some new stuff. Your contact-free check-in, your strategic owner acquisition. I do want to let those who are on Streamline here attending to know that we're going to be releasing an owner acquisition, property acquisition tool, the first version of it in the next several weeks. So look forward to that, because it is going to be a great time to strategically look for owner acquisition based on the shuffles that can be happening and individual owners. Obviously, your policies and cancellations, I highly recommend you look at the master cancel. It really protects your revenue on top of just making more revenue. It really protects your revenue. And I think that also leads into how important owner communication is, guest communication, So sometimes it's protecting your revenue and your retention more than it is growing. So the revenue. And then on top of that, look at your online exposure, your reviews, your pictures, your anything you have online. This is a good time to go in and verify you're not missing anything. Then you have your policies and Airbnb, VRBO stuff. I did get a Q&A in here that was an interesting question. So she says, how do we get around Airbnb and VRBO regulations if we are only allowing certain types of guests, first responders, medical, et cetera, or restricting from certain areas per government orders, no CDC hotspot guests? So is there a way to make that stuff happen if that's the right type of guest, but somehow there's restrictions against that?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be all about communicating, right? And in this situation, if there's a lot of restrictions, communicating to the customers, and then, this may be a great opportunity to push your brand and have them, book direct through your channel versus leveraging that, because it's one more piece to manage on a distribution partner. If they're not in compliance, or you're trying to, be creative or be strategic, it may just be a good opportunity to market and push people to your property versus pushing them to the channel.
A couple more questions. Were you going to say something, Maureen?
I was going to say that, of course we have to follow whatever the governor's orders are. So we're certainly not suggesting to go around anything that's been, that has been ordered by the governor. But it's more preparing for things to be opening back up. Or if you're not allowed to take short-term rentals, but allowed to take long-term rentals of 30 nights or more, then, positioning yourself for marketing to people in a way that you're allowing them to see the benefits of coming for longer lengths of stay. Since we have kids out of school, we have people working from home, this might be the one and only opportunity they have to go experience an area in a more holistic way, getting out and walking the trails in the afternoon after the kids are done with doing their homework in the morning, or if you have morning work to do because you work from home. So this can be a really good opportunity for families to spend that time together they don't normally get in an area they wouldn't normally get to thoroughly experience.
Another one of the questions we have here is, does Streamline change the pricing automatically, or is this something that they can expect coming down the line?
Yeah, Streamline won't, but StreamYield, the automatic pricing tool, yes, can automatically change pricing based upon a strategy that you execute. That's available today. In regards to what we call market-based pricing, where you kind of want to see what the market's doing and, again, some strategies to where it's fully automatic. We will have that coming soon. I think it's slated for the end of the summer to have that live. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. One of the other questions was, what was the app that you were referring to? And that's Happy Stays. That is the guest app through Streamline. We do have a new version of that actually coming out in this next quarterly release in Meerkat. So look forward to that. It's actually very nice, and you can definitely check in with our team if you'd like to have a look at it. A couple other questions here. Yes, we will present this video. We'll send it out in a video. If you just go to my LinkedIn page, Brett Parry, or my LinkedIn profile, you'll definitely see it there. So you can just or connect with me on LinkedIn, but we can also send out some content to the user base. And then let's see, we had an owner asking if we could have guests sign a paper stating that they did not have symptoms of COVID-19 before coming into their home. Do you think this would be acceptable? Have you heard any other company doing this?
Mm-hmm. So it would not be unacceptable. It's all precautions. But I think one thing to consider is, okay, if they do have COVID, right, it's been, 72 hours prior to the guest checks in. When they check out, the cleaners go in there, and cleaning standards, everyone's using masks and gloves, washing their hands, using top of the line professional cleaning and supplies to capture that. And then before the next guest checks in, give them, 72 hours, 4 days before the next guest arrives, if they're concerned about customers coming in and kind of infecting their property. You know, I think there's definitely precautions that the management company can take to kind of prevent that as much as possible. You know, I mean, maybe one of the questions is, what's your temperature before you arrive? I mean, possibly. I mean, we can definitely get creative. And also, depending upon state, I know if you're traveling from out of state, the states are requiring that you go into a 14-day quarantine before, you know, you come back in. So we may just have to look at it on a more granular basis, kind of see what the concerns are directly, you know, what is the owner concerning, and then how is the cleaning, because that's what it's essentially going to come down to, can help oversee. Yeah.
Mitigating risk there.
I will tell you that the next week of our show here, Stronger, Dirk Johnson's going to be on. We felt it was a really good time to have some cleaning expertise, and hearing from Dirk would be a good thing for you to attend next week on Wednesday. So also that, you know, the length of stay, intelligent rate strategies, pricings, discounts, I mean, all these sort of things working together in a holistic way is really the recommendation of our wonderful folks here at RevMax. And thank you so much for your time, for joining us, Desiree and Maureen. Also, thank you to everybody who attended and watched. We, as always, are happy to have you, and reach out to us if you have any questions. Stay strong, and let's all get through this together. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.